SmackDown 9/27/24. Another show without Roman Reigns on the card. And of course, that's a problem because by the time you guys catch this review, we will be exactly 1 week away from the WWE Bad Blood PLE. And that raises an issue because Roman Reigns is a part of the main event of that show. So if Roman Reigns is not going to be on the card 1 week beforehand, and the match itself is not drawing enough anticipation and not enough excitement, there's not enough people captivated by Roman Reigns and Cody Rhodes in a tag match, not for a main event of a PLE. So it's up to these individuals to really sell it, right? And Roman Reigns is the most pivotal piece of that puzzle. You cannot complete this puzzle without that piece. And Roman Reigns, once again, not on this show. So we were left with the same redundancy of Cody Rhodes, Kevin Owens, and Randy Orton, right? All of them just kind of doing their thing, bickering at times, but for the most part, coexisting. And we're just left with just those three trying to sell what Roman Reigns is a part of, which leads to many questions, right? Then why put Cody with Roman Reigns? I told you guys when Roman comes back, I would separate them. Have Cody do his own thing, have Roman do his own thing, and you were hoping that by the time Roman comes back, they would have something for Randy Orton and Kevin Owens. They haven't had anything for them for months. SummerSlam, they just did a run-in, literally had nothing. As a consolation prize, Hunter gave them 2 main events, right? Just to do the job. Randy, go over to Raw real quick, put over Gunther. KO, face your good buddy. Do the job for Cody. We have nobody for Cody. We have no more heels. Just look up at the lights for Cody. And then when Randy was done doing his little job over on Raw, he comes back. Randy goes right back to Cody Rhodes and Kevin Owens in the Bloodline. KO gets beat by Cody Rhodes, and KO is right back to either tagging with Cody or going against the Bloodline. So now the question now is, right, one of them has to turn, right? That's the whole conversation in the community. One of them has to turn. If you have the magic pen, which are you going with, right? The 3 choices, clear. It's Randy Orton. That's the most obvious choice for BC. If I have the magic booking pen, I am booking Randy Orton to be once again that legend killer, the real apex predator, the real diabolical heel. Randy Orton needs something. He needs that change. He needs to remember just to know who the hell he is. Randy Orton turns. Randy Orton becomes the Randy Orton we know is still in there. Because this Orton, it seems like he loses every PLE. Maybe he does. I haven't checked his stats in a while. But if I did, I bet you Randy Orton loses most of his PLEs in the last couple of 2-3 years. KO is basically non-existent. We all know he works better as a heel. Cody Rhodes is another option somehow. A lot of people think Cody Rhodes should turn heel because he has a boring title reign. And he just doesn't do it for these individuals. Listen, I hear you. The title reign is not exactly what we were hoping for. BC told you this was going to happen. This is why I said it's 39 or bust last year at Mania. You know, waiting a whole year, you're going to get the same type of redundancy. And sure enough, the amplified unit was correct. So I called this miles ahead of time. But this is what they decided to go with, and everybody is now shocked. Now everybody's panicking, right? Cody needs to turn heel. I don't see how that's going to solve anything. Cody is still a top merch seller. Families, especially kids, love the dude. He still gets a really good pop. And he's only 2 years into his main top face role. You know, you don't turn Hulk Hogan heel after just 2 years on top. You wouldn't do that with even Jonathan Cena. And there was 85 times Cena should have turned heel. But turning Cody heel right now, what is it doing? He's kind of already been a heel the whole time anyway, with his suits and his smirking. So it's not that hard of a transition. But I don't see how you leapfrog Randy Orton, right? If you're going to turn one of them heel, Orton is just beckoning to turn heel. and you're going to leapfrog him with Cody Rhodes and keep Randy Orton doing absolutely nothing as a face. I don't even see how you leapfrog Kevin Owens. If I had the choice and Randy was out of the equation, I would pick Owens as a heel over Cody Rhodes. But if you had the magic pen, who would you decide, man? Out of those three names, who are you turning heel? Because it can only be one. You can't do all three, man. There's some fans that are like, all of them have to turn heel. Randy's got to, obviously. KO should turn heel. And by the way, Cody's title reign is boring. Let's turn him heel as well. Can't do all of them, man. The answer can't always be turn them. Turn them. People are bored, turn them. This isn't working, turn them. You know, how about you just get creative and you make it work? Get creative, have fun, and, you know, get people captivated. But turning all of them is not an option. But the reason that's even a discussion is because it's redundancy. Fans are just bored with this type of Randy Orton, this type of Kevin Owens, this type of Cody Rhodes, even with a gold shiny belt over his shoulder. And without Roman Reigns, man, this show is lacking a pulse. It needs that heartbeat, and it just never has it. It's clear Roman is the guy. And if you want to make Cody the guy when Roman is not around, you probably shouldn't have them together. That's just food for thought. Some simple advice from the Amplified Man. But this show, you know, there's talk about adding a third hour to it. What are you adding to? I mean, it needs a lot right now, but how about focus on the first 2 hours? Instead of adding a third hour, you're just going to have the same repetitive BS that you put onto Monday Night Raw, right? When you went from 2 to 3 hours and that show sank. That third hour was like an anchor, and it dragged Raw down until to this very day. Raw has not seen the surface. It's an anchor, that third hour. Hunter Hearst Helmsley has admitted he doesn't know how to book the third hour, so why would you give him more of it? More of something he cannot handle. Because that's what you're giving him. So you're going to take this SmackDown show that was lifeless last night. It didn't have a pulse. It was repetitive. I can finally see why people say I just watched the highlights the next day. I used to not understand that because growing up, there was no way you could miss a pro wrestling show. You had to see it from top to bottom, beginning to finish, start to end. And instead, now everybody's like, I can just watch the highlights. And now I see why. You would miss nothing if you missed this show last night. You would miss nothing. You could literally spend 3 minutes looking at the results, or 10 minutes, if even, watching the highlights. And you're set. You missed nothing. A bunch of rematches, a weird tag match, a lot of mutual respect, and somebody being done dirty. This time it was my girl Naomi. Naomi done dirty last night, not just because she lost a match or how she lost the match. No, it was for a separate reason, and we'll go over that in this review. Other than that, LA Knight's booking, I told you they were going to do this with LA Knight, right? They started it last night. I told you, man, I'm a mile ahead of the game. So we're going to go over this, man, a show that desperately needs that pulse and desperately needs a Roman Reigns. Unfortunately, that's where the show is at. You know, when you miss that one dude, the show absolutely collapses, especially when everybody is worked around him, right? They insert Randy into it. They insert KO into it. Obviously, the entirety of the Bloodline. Cody Rhodes is working now alongside Roman. And when you do that and you don't have Roman, everybody else comes across secondary. The second fiddle, not as good as. Huge swig of coffee, and we'll get into this review. First and foremost, by the way, a huge shout out. Big shout out over to some super thanks super chats from earlier this week and some recent uploads. JR9 Gaming with that NXT Weekly Roundup definitely got BC caught up to speed with NXT. I was only able to catch one segment this week, and it wasn't even in its entirety. Roxy, Julia, Stephanie Vicure. So I'm glad I was able to see what I did see. But JR9 Gaming, man, definitely got me caught up with that NXT Roundup. And Colin, appreciate the super thanks, bro. Good observation on the Owen Hart discussion from yesterday's Netflix Mr. McMahon review that we did. Colin came in clutch with that observation in that super thanks super chat. So Colin, appreciate you. JR9 Gaming. To all my channel subscribers, thank you sincerely, and to channel members, my utmost appreciation. That's on a whole nother level. You guys are the oil that keeps the machine going. So, salute to every single supporter of this channel. BC is going to keep rocking out with you guys because that's what we do, and we're going to do it right now with SmackDown 9/27/24. We're going to start with, we'll start right from the jump. Randy Orton kicking us off. If you're looking for pyro, you're not going to find it on this show, by the way. Just like Monday Night Raw, just like it's WWE, man. What you will get is wrestlers showing up to the arena with their luggage and their coffees, though. Maybe even a smirk and a smile, right? If it's like Cody Rhodes or John Cena decides to come back. But Randy Orton comes up. Good pop. It's in some sectors, you could easily say Randy Orton was more over than Cody Rhodes. I mean, I got that feeling last night several times from that crowd. Randy Orton wants answers from Cody Rhodes. So Cody obliges, Cody comes out. KO is not that far behind because, again, this is all Hunter knows how to do. Just stuff them all together. We'll have you do something with the Bloodline. And maybe we'll even tease you three together, right? Face versus face, because who cares? I mean, we already did KO and Cody last month. So watch them do Randy versus Cody as both faces, right? Could you imagine if Randy doesn't turn heel and he just does Randy Orton versus Cody face versus face? I wouldn't put it past old Hunter Hearst Helmsley anymore. But KO comes out right after Cody Rhodes. And then we... what do we do? First of all, I was like, what did I put in my notes here? Before KO actually came out, Randy and Cody shook hands, showing mutual respect for one another. And when the night ended, by the way, we'd have more mutual respect. We'll get to that. So then the Bloodline comes out. They stay in the aisleway. Solo tells the crowd to acknowledge him. I like that, right? Steal everything from Roman at this point so that when Roman comes back, it's even bigger and badder than before. And people really want to see Solo get dropped on his dome piece. So he tells the crowd to acknowledge him. KO calls for a tag match. Cody says, good idea. Let's make it a 6-man because there's 3 of us. And KO stops him. And KO's like, no. You got your own thing with Roman. You do that. I'm talking me and Randy versus Jacob, Fatu, and Solo Sikoa. So KO it's like the mean girls, right? The mean dudes. And they're kind of shoving Cody to the side, right? He's the duff. Just maybe not fat, but he's the odd one out. And they're making it known that they're not too happy with his decision. So KO's like, dude, no offense, but we're not even talking about you. We're going to keep this a straight tag. We don't want to tag with you. So I like that. But that was it, guys. That was that. I mean, it was funny, and I liked that he shut Cody down, and the match was made. But then you're instantly drawn to the conclusion of, wait, that's the main. So we're going to wait 2 hours just to watch more Bloodline versus Randy and KO. If it feels like you've been seeing these matches since the beginning of time, maybe it's a slight exaggeration, but only slight. Because, yes, it feels like we've been watching these same individuals wrestle each other since the beginning of time. At least from the Stone Age. And you are going to get it again later in the night. So, I mean, if that's worth waiting 2 hours on your Friday night for, that's your big main event. If that truly excites you, more power to you. That's your prerogative. That's your likes and dislikes, and that's much love to you. For BC, I was like, oh my God, we're waiting. By that point, it was only an hour and a half, maybe a little bit more, because this went over 20 minutes, guys. This first segment went over 20 minutes long just to set up a tag team match. No Roman Reigns was there, you know, and you're supposed to be selling this big main event for the PLE next Saturday. No Roman Reigns, just the same cast of characters doing the same scene over and over. And it took 20 minutes to set up that main event. So that's what I mean. I mean, if that's good for you, if that's all you need, if your bar is right there, if it's low enough to say, hey, that was awesome, good for you. BC in the unit, it's not even that we raised the bar. Our bar is just naturally higher. You know, we expect more because they should be giving us more. They should be giving themselves better than this. If you're going to take 20 some odd minutes to start a 2-hour SmackDown show, you just got back to the USA Network, you really want to put your best game forward, and this is what you're doing? Don't be shocked when a lot of fans are like, well, that just seems redundant. It's not exciting. It's not worth sticking around for 2 hours. And when you watch the ratings go backwards, you shouldn't be too shocked. So that was the conclusion we were left with after 20 some odd minutes to begin this show. We would then go into the first match of the night. My girl Naomi was absolutely done dirty last night. So Naomi is taking on Bayley. Whoever wins becomes the #1 contender for Nia Jax's championship. Bayley pins Naomi straight up with a belly-to-belly Macho Man flying elbow combo. And Naomi is looking up at the lights. I was shocked at how clean that was, right? I mean, it was cleaner than a Clorox wipe. Great for Bayley. It sucked seeing Naomi take another loss and just so simplistic. I mean, just the flying elbow, and Naomi is down for like a 10 count. She was like knocked out. She was selling so good. And then afterwards, I thought there was going to be mutual respect because they looked at each other and they're friends. But Naomi just gave her like a little pat on the shoulder and just took off. So I like that. So, of course, now fans are like, oh, Naomi's going to turn heel. This is what I mean. We have to stop just jumping to turns every time somebody's not booked correctly. So Naomi, it's clear Hunter doesn't know what to do with Naomi. And it's clear that Naomi is not in his plans for anything huge. So this is what Hunter does, right? If he has no plans for you, if he doesn't know what to do with you, he just turns you without a plan. We just saw it with Damage Control. They quietly turned faces because heels came in. Sonya's group took out the heels. So then they quietly became faces, but there was no plan. So nobody cared about Damage Control as faces this whole last month, 2 months. So now Damage Control is in this little weird thing with Bianca and Jade, who are faces on Raw and Smack. They're champions. They can go wherever they want. But they're faces. So why would you turn Damage Control faces if they're just going into a face-face? It doesn't make sense. But this is what he'll do. He'll just turn you, right? And there's no plan, there's no direction. It's just you're turned, right? Street Profits. They turned heels to join Bobby Lashley with no plan. So then they just sat at catering. Once in a while they would play with Karrion Kross's group. And then when Hunter was just like, listen, I don't know what to do with you, Bobby. We're just going to let the contract expire. And then the Street Profits quietly went face again. And they're still not pulling anything meaningful. And you could go on and on and on. So if turning Naomi tickles your fancy and gets you excited and, you know, it's all systems go, balls to the wall, Naomi as a heel, don't forget, you have to have a plan with that. Otherwise, you're just turning her and it's going to be more mediocre booking, but now you lost all the people that were cheering for you. So now you're even more irrelevant. That's what we have to kind of steer away from. Turns can work if there's a plan in place. And it's all systems go literally behind the scenes. If not, turns can actually ruin these individuals and make them irrelevant. I hope that makes sense. So Naomi, the booking of Naomi is just so odd right now, and it's sad to see. But that's not why she was done dirty last night. It's not the fact that she lost to Bayley, or cleaner than a Clorox wipe, as I say. It's the fact that they didn't even give her the entrance. I mean, they're not even... like it's jobber entrance status. That's what we call that in the business, jobber entrances. You know what I mean? You don't even give them the time of day. Now you could say, well, BC, maybe they're priming her for that heel turn. So they're taking away the entrance now. They don't want the crowd to look at her as a face right now. Right? They want them to cheer for Bayley because she's going to win. So she gets the entrance and well, sure, any excuse you give me is not the right call. Naomi still should get that entrance. She has one of the coolest entrances in the whole company. Her entrance is badass, man. Everything about Naomi is awesome. She could literally be one of the top stars in terms of merchandise, in terms of fan reaction. People connect with Naomi. The one problem, the one thing that is anchoring her down is she never had good booking and creative in the company, never really put the rocket on her. Her title reigns, look at what happened after she won the title. Nothing. Exactly. That's done by the company on purpose. You basically equate that to internal sabotage. She won the championship, I believe, one time because she was in Orlando, right? So that's like her hometown. And the other time because it was Black History Month. Trust me. Trust me, that was at a time where we were really pushing for Naomi to win that championship. And the company waited Black History Month. They said, all right, throw the title on her. No plan, no nothing, right? It's going to be a feel-good moment. Look, put the title on our Black superstar. And then watch her booking, right? That's what I mean. We don't even have to do our research. Most of us, the Amplified unit, we've always been pushing for better booking for Naomi. So we don't have to just think back and remember. We never forgot how she was booked in her only 2 title reigns. 2. And I always equate it to Charlie's 14. And if you add her NXT title, she's already got 16. Naomi's over here with 2, and she's been there longer. So it's just, you know, little things like that are not so little. The entrance, man, it means everything. You never see Hulk Hogan come to the ring without the Real American playing back in the day, right? He's just in the ring with Sergeant Slaughter, and he just got a jobber entrance. I'm not, by the way, I'm not comparing Naomi to Hulk Hogan per se. I'm just using that as an example. The entrance matters, you know? And by the way, did you guys see Bayley's entrance? Speaking of entrance, it was just both of them got botched. Naomi didn't get one, and Bayley's was completely botched. The video package showed her damage control video. So it was when Bayley was with the damage control, they quickly saw that, and then they just went to like a SmackDown logo, something like that. So they quickly were like, cut the package, cut it. It was damage control. I'm telling you, if there was one group that was just damaged from the beginning, it's damage control. They had so much promise when we saw Dakota Kai, Io Sky, and Bayley in the aisleway at SummerSlam a couple years ago. And from that epic moment of seeing those 3 together, ever since it just went downhill. And just nothing goes right for damage control. Their booking is odd. The botches, the mistakes, and even production. Damage Control's video package for Bayley. They quickly caught it. They cut it. Not quick enough, but they did cut it. Oh, man. That was rough. But again, Bayley defeats Naomi, so it'll be Bayley versus Nia Jax. Now, nothing but respect for Bayley, and that's cool if they want to go that direction. It's Hunter's creative company. But I just feel Naomi is better suited for this. You know, they're going to take the L anyway. And I don't necessarily want to see Naomi take L's, especially in big matchups, but it just makes more sense to pit Naomi and Nia Jax right now. Other than just do the same rematch, Bayley and Nia Jax. And Bayley should not be winning that title anyway, so you're going to get the rematch and then she just loses. But no matter what you want to do with Tiffany Stratton and Nia Jax, you don't need Bayley to be in the middle of it. So give Naomi some shine. And have a plan afterwards, so if she does lose to Nia Jax, there's something big to catapult from. That matchup, that loss, should be a trampoline, a springboard to something better. Instead, they don't even give Naomi that. They act like she's going to turn heel, like that's going to do anything for her booking. Are you going to have some more Bayley versus Naomi matchups? And the whole booking is Naomi's now a heel. Okay, I give it 1 month. 1 week in this company, she'll be losing as a heel already. So, just odd. I definitely, if I had the magic pen and I was writing, Naomi wins this. I wouldn't even have this match going on just to go to Nia Jax's championship match. But because that's what they booked, if they gave the book to me this week and that was the match I had to book, it's Naomi going over for sure. But Bayley wins this match. She goes over to Nia Jax. And the title on the line. And again, the cool thing was I was expecting mutual respect, but at least Naomi's like, pat on the back, but no, all right? We're friends still, but no, I'm not going to shake your hand just because we had an athletic competition, all right? Let me be pissed for a minute, all right? It's pro wrestling. Let me be pissed. Like Randy Orton, Gunther calls this dude a failure. Your father's a failure. Your grandfather's a failure. Talks all this crap, and then he loses his title match to Gunther. So all the junk that he talked, and he loses to the guy, and Randy's like, hey, let's shake hands, man. We had a good athletic bout. Stop. Can't stand mutual respect era. Just wrestle, and it's okay to be pissed off after you lose. Shake hands later that night at the hotel or maybe the next week. Move on over to Melo and Andrade. So Melo and Andrade, they're in this weird best of like 2,500 match. They're going to wrestle each other 2,500 times and see who wins the most. I think that's what I'm picking up on this. Melo pins Andrade via the awe-inspiring, ultra-devastating fruit roll-up. The fruit roll-up. Melo, so when a wrestler the caliber of Andrade, he gets pinned by a roll-up. He cannot get his shoulder, just 1 centimeter off the canvas. Now, we're supposed to believe that LA Knight caused the distraction, right? Because Knight came down, wants to get at Melo. Andrade's like, no. Melo hits Andrade, I think, knocked LA Knight, something like that. And through all this distraction, that's how Andrade got rolled up. Well, I don't care how you got rolled up. You could get rolled up out of the blue in the match with no distraction at all. You could have had bicycles and pianos fall from the rafters. Right from the rafters, literally. Pianos and bicycles and little Tonka monster trucks. Remember the Tonka trucks when you were a kid? They just start falling down, right? And you're like, what is going on? And all of a sudden you get rolled up. It wouldn't matter. It doesn't matter what the excuse is. You got rolled up. Now you have to get out of the roll-up. He's just holding you down, man. You're a wrestler with big muscles, right? Okay, so get one shoulder, just a centimeter. That's your excuse? LA Knight distracted you, and that's how you got rolled up. Dude, you took drop kicks, you took suicide dives, and moonsaults, and DDTs, and you were fine after all that, but the roll-up you could not get up from. Not realistic. At all. But all right, we'll play the game that LA Knight was the distraction. So now Hunter Hearst Helmsley is going to go LA Knight Andrade face versus face in the future. Exactly what I told you was going to happen. After you do Santos Escobar versus LA Knight 514 times, and after you do Melo and Andrade 2,500 times, you'll just crisscross it. You'll have Melo versus Santos, heel versus heel. You'll do LA Knight versus Andrade, face versus face. You'll have all four in a fatal four-way. Simplistic booking. Hunter doesn't have to think too much. Same dudes every week, just in different variations or just in the same rematch 8,000 times. They tell me that it is 3-3 right now after Melo's win last night. So he's got 3 over Andrade. Andrade's got 3 over Melo. So even though they're saying 3-3, it feels like I've seen this match 1,416 times already. So by that math, we're only a little over 1,000 more matches between the two, and it'll be over. Moving on. Talking about rematches. Get this. Well, I understand why this was done, though. Not saying it was fun or entertaining, but I understand it. So you had Michin versus Piper Niven. Michin pins Piper Niven. Again, this was a straight rematch. What does she call her finisher? Eat the feet? Beat to the eat? Beat to the feet? Something like that. Eat the feet. I don't even know. But she just puts her opponent's jaw right into the bottom of her boot. And got the pin over Piper Niven. Sad to see Piper Niven still have nothing in this company, but it's how she's booked, man. Kennedy McMahon, Hunter Hearst Helmsley. They don't see a lot in Piper Niven. So she's just the sidekick to Chelsea, and this is why this was done, right? They're setting up for the big match next week. I am actually looking forward to this because I've become a huge supporter of Chelsea Green recently, and Chelsea is taking on Michin next week in a dumpster match. All right, this is my cup of coffee. I'm into this. Let's see what they produce. So this was a little tune-up match, get more fans to go, oh, Michin is something on this roster. Michin has a big match next week. Because the way she's been booked, since really she got to the main roster, Michin's had nothing. There's no reason to really care about what Michin is doing. So they tried to have this as a tune-up match. But, if you know, you know. This was just a rematch. We've already seen it before. We know why it's being done. Next week is the real meat. The real meat on the bones, right? Next week, Chelsea, Michin, dumpster match. Let's see what they got. We went to the main event at this point. This was Bloodline defeating KO and Orton solo. Sikoa pins KO after Cody inadvertently took out the referee. Jacob Fatu took out Cody outside. Then he threw Cody in the ring. Referee was watching the action. Referee got clipped by Cody when Cody got in the ring. Jacob threw Cody in. Cody accidentally takes out the ref. And through that distraction, Jacob Fatu delivers 2 super kicks to Kevin Owens. Solo picks up the scraps, pins KO 1, 2, 3. So, of course, post-match, KO is pissed off. He's pushing Cody Rhodes, grabs his face at one point. Randy Orton's playing the middleman. Stop, you stop. At that point, perfect time, Randy, if you want to give them both an RKO. Because Randy was like in the middle of it. Solo is in the aisleway with the Bloodline. Solo's like, look at them all fighting. Look at him with a smile on his face. And I was like, all right, just end it like that because it's not fun, but whatever. At least they're bickering and it's making... Who's going to turn? Is it going to be KO or is it going to be Cody? You know, or what about Randy? But they just couldn't help themselves. In the final 2 to 3 seconds of the show, KO just stops being angry out of nowhere. And he's like, all right. And he gives a big hug to Cody. So the show once again ends in mutual respect. It's like, just have them arguing then, right? Plant the seeds that this is going to get better, man. Somebody will turn. But the constant, like, I'm mad at you, all right, let's hug, that's what makes it beyond repetitive, because that's what we're seeing every single week. And it's one of those, you want to say it's one of those, wait for it, but that's not long-term storytelling at that point. That's just redundancy. And that's why, without Roman Reigns and with the same repetitive process, these shows are not coming off as fun. So when you talk about a third hour next year to Friday Night SmackDown, people are going, how? You can't get 2 hours right. You can't make us care about 2 hours. If you're being honest, this was a mediocre at best show. That's the fairest critique you're going to get. At best. We just went through the whole card. We just went through the results. There's nothing on here that you would want to that you would go back and spend 2 hours on your Friday night watching again. Again, I said this earlier. You could read the results in 2 to 3 minutes. You could watch the highlights in 9 or 10 minutes, if even. And you would have been set. You could have saved yourself 2 hours on a Friday that BC did for you. Until next time, and there will be that next time, top guys, BC in the unit, saying check you. Peace.